Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Queen City Unleashed. I'm Seyi Olusina, and today I'm joined by some of the people who've brought the biggest slice of pizza to Charlotte that you have ever seen, Bryan and Kristen Brown. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
So they are the owners of Benny Pennello's and Benny
Ferrovia's.
And that's the one in Noda.
South
End. And then Pennello's
is in Noda.
Noda, okay. So where are you guys from? We're going to talk about pizza and the fact that it's bigger than a small child's head or even my head at this point. But how did you guys get to Charlotte? What brought you? Where'd you go through? What brought you here to Charlotte?
So we're both from Virginia Beach originally.
Okay.
Brian went to Virginia Tech.
Go Hokies. If you're not seeing this, we're both some extra tech swag today.
And I went to James Madison University.
Not too far from us.
No, 2 hours up 81.
Okay.
So quick drive. So we dated
trucks.
We dated long distance all through college, and then when he graduated a year before me, he moved to Charlotte with his company. And then when I graduated a year later, shortly after, I moved down as well.
So I majored in computer science. I got a job down here because it's so close to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And then, she eventually followed me when she graduated, and been here 16 years now.
Wow, so you guys have seen the city change quite a bit. Myself and a lot of my friends are definitely newer, 5 years here. So you guys were, with your location in South End, you guys have been around since this was nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing.
And like when I first moved here, I had an apartment in Uptown, and then I moved to Noda. She had a place in Dilworth. Now we're in the South Park area, so we've seen like every single little bit of the city and just it growing constantly.
Do you have any regrets about not buying homes 16 years ago in some of those neighborhoods that took off?
I bought a condo in 2010.
Okay.
So I was in there pretty soon.
Good.
But then we decided to sell it and open up a pizza place, and I do not regret that.
Okay. That is true. That's a good reason to sell it. That's awesome. Okay, so you guys are parents.
Yes.
You have 2 little girls.
That's right.
What is life like for you now with kids versus when you first got here and it was just the 2 of you? What were things that you were doing then, and how was that transition?
Kids don't really change your life much. So.
Okay.
No, that's not true.
Goodness.
I would say when we first moved here, like, you had the free time to explore new restaurants and go out and check out the new bars. Now we are kind of in a bubble, I say. Like, we have our standard place we go to on certain nights of the week for pizza, or
Benny's.
if we have like casual restaurants where they have food that they like to eat. So I really think we just don't. We still have like our breweries we visit and all that kind of stuff, but we have to keep like what do the kids like doing in mind. So we don't get out as much to explore new places as we would like to.
When we first moved here, when I first lived here, it was like trivia night in Uptown. Go to Tiber Creek, go to Epicenter, which was still open, and like just the city changed. Stool pigeons,
which you probably have no idea what that is.
No. we were after Cans, or Cans was there originally. That was the big place before Epicenter. So we just seen the whole rotation of everything.
We got here in COVID, so May of COVID, and so Epicenter was dead and then has not come back. I did see recently that I think 3 restaurants have moved in there, and they're trying to figure out. Yeah. But the restaurants that they have are the ones that face the street. But if you go through them into like the middle, it still looks deserted.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, whatever happens, if it's a lot of space to be able to do stuff. So it'd be nice if they could figure out how to revitalize it. But
it was such a cool area when it was up and coming, and like they had the live music, Live After 5, was it? Or
they've been bringing that back, actually.
Have they?
Yes,
okay.
I did see something about it, that they've been bringing it back, and I'm like, it's on my list to maybe go check out. We can take the light rail from our place straight into Uptown, which is...
That's the kind of thing with kids we won't experience. We're going to stay home with them, and they're going to go to sleep. And
also, like, the light rail wasn't, like, built to Noda when we lived there. So, like, now that that's there, the apartments and all the stuff is built up so much. Like, I mean, you only had a handful of places you could even go.
We always thought of Noda as, like, it's an island between Uptown and what it is, and like there was nothing in between there, and now that's slowly been building up.
True. So what was Optimist around?
No, that opened probably 5 years
nothing
ago.
Was around.
Yeah.
Really?
They had like 4 bars and 5 restaurants, and They were doing
art galleries,
a bunch
back
of
in the
art
day.
galleries. So they were doing gallery crawls where you would go and you'd like look at the art and they'd like pour you a little glass of wine and you could just go around and look at like all these different artists and art galleries there were a ton of them there. And then slowly like that brought all these people in and then they go to the bars afterwards. So then more bars started opening up and the art gallery started closing and it just completely changed because it was the art district.
That's what I do describe it to people. I say Noda's kind of our own mini Asheville in Charlotte, very artsy. And it's cool. We used to get up there more, I think. Now we stick to the west side of Charlotte or we'll come to South End or Dilworth area just because they're a little.
Yeah, and that's just how the city's changed. Like uptown people used to go there more and now they're all going to South End. They're still going to Noda, but maybe not as much as before. And like,
what do you remember in South End when you first got here?
You know that pink building?
Yes, with the windows.
Yes.
Very controversial.
I will never forget. We obviously didn't know anything about Charlotte at the time. So when Bryan was looking for apartments, he looked in Uptown at like 2 places, and then we went to like one of the Camdens near the pink building, and we're like, oh, this is too far from Uptown. Like that little area by the pink building was too far from Uptown at the time.
It's like 4 or 5
I
minutes.
know, but there was nothing developed around there.
We also didn't have any context of where we were,
yeah.
But
I remember World of Beer opening up. Like
that was even later though.
Well, it was a little bit after you moved here.
Okay.
But it was like that was the first real. There's like Price's Chicken Coop and Fat Burrito and those kinds of places. But World of Beer was like the first place that we had friends who were like, oh, we're gonna go hang out there.
We didn't even go there. We would go to what was that bagels place that was so good?
Owens
Bagels.
They had steamed bagels. They were so good.
They closed down. But then we'd go past that to Mac's Speed Shop, and that's like the closest thing when we go south. Like, and then Old Mech was open at the time, so. But that's not.
So it was a lot of.
That's
it was
closer.
very separate. There wasn't a lot of connection across.
There wasn't really anything there. And then they had Fat Burrito, and they started doing the food truck Fridays, I guess, in like one of the open lots there.
Yes, somebody was telling me about this
cool.
was telling me about this recently. So now that you do have kids, what are some of the things that is fun for you guys? You mentioned pizza earlier, and I'm curious, what other pizza do you eat besides Benny's?
We're in the South Park area, so like getting here, especially on like a Friday night after I don't. This isn't my full-time job.
Yeah.
I work for like a bigger company, so it's not like come in and.
We are all about convenience. It's all about like what's I spend my week as an Uber driver taking them from their one extracurricular activity to the next one. So I'm like, what can we do that's like quick? We can, it's a quick drive for him. We love Brawley's in Off Park Road.
Not pizza, but.
No, not pizza, but we love to go.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll go to Brawley's. We'll bring some board games for the kids. We'll sit with them, play board games. And then Luisa's is one of our favorite pizzas down there, and we'll get that and like
Just
eat
because
it.
it's closer to us.
Yeah,
and they're good.
And
Betty's
so,
is better.
but yeah, we, and even on the weekends, like we love going to Pins because they can bowl.
Really?
Do the duck pin bowling. It's easy, and they love the video games. And then we'll come here, pick up pizza, go to High Wire, and eat it over there. Let them play the little shuffleboard.
If you're like a fun, like younger couple without kids, like Pins is a madhouse on Sunday mornings, especially if it's raining. It's all children, right?
Really?
Like probably
kids bowl free on Sundays.
Probably not where you want to be, but it is awesome. For
Really?
Kids. Oh yeah, it's a madhouse.
Oh, just kids.
Yeah. And adults.
Wow. I would never have. That's a good way for them to keep getting business in though on a Sunday.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, and parents can get in, have a beer at noon, and the kids get to play in the games and have a great time. And
I'm scared to expose my stuff though, because not everybody's.
They're already there. They're already there.
We were there with some friends, kind of doing a birthday crawl, and a lot of the girls wanted to go down the slide they had there at Pins. Well, all these kids just kept cutting them. And they didn't want to be mean because they're kids. And it's like, the slide is maybe for the kids. But they all got in line. And it got to the point where I kept seeing the same kid loop them. And I'm like, you guys were only supposed to go once. What's happening? They're like, the kids just kept getting in front of us.
It takes a community to grow kids. Tell them to wait. Teach them some manners.
That's what I told them. I was like, I would have just said, hey, guys, wait your turn. They're like, yeah, it's the kids. Just let them be. So talked about some of the food you're eating. What do you guys do for fun? Are you guys park folks? museum.
We go to
to
breweries with the
breweries.
kids. Get a beer. They play their games or hang out with some friends. They love to go to the parks too. We like to go on the Greenway and ride bikes.
Big bike family.
Not yet. The little one's a little. She's not quite there.
Okay.
But,
Ideally.
she practices. She goes on her scooter.
Okay.
We're getting there.
We like doing like hikes and stuff. So mainly we do that on vacation, but we've gone to Crowder's a couple times, which is like a 40-minute drive or so.
Yeah.
Whitewater Center.
I think we did Crowder's in our
sick.
first year here, and I don't think we've done it since.
We've been back a couple times, but I feel like there's a ton of other hiking spots that we haven't tapped into and really need to, because it's probably when you go a little further west, closer to the mountains and everything. But
So Whitewater Center, you guys are fans? You guys
They
buy the
went-
annual?
We were
went
we
yesterday.
spent all day there yesterday.
I was
actually,
working.
checking out their new Wildwoods.
I heard
section.
they have, my boss was telling me about this, that there's like a bike, little BMX
Yeah.
thing,
They
and
have, like,
parents can
it's-
hang out.
There's all these balance bikes. They have like helmets, and you have to pay. I think it was $18 for the kids to get a wristband to go in there. And then it's this kind of like a bunch of little houses, like little cottages that are connected by like nets and bridges. And they just ran around. I think we were there for like 4 or 5 hours, and then we like ventured off to a little obstacle course area, like across the suspension bridges. If there's like little suspension bridges.
I need
for
to
a lot
go
of
back
this-
out there.
No,
There's
it's
a lot
cool.
that's been added since the last time we were there. So
Yeah.
I need to head back out that way.
I can't wait for my kids to be a little older so we can start doing the whitewater
Yeah,
rafting, because that's so
we
much
just
fun too.
eight is when the whitewater rafting, I think, is when the kids can do it, and our daughter's 9. So, but our younger one is 6.
Ah.
So we're almost there where I
Yeah.
think we can get annual passes and like do zip lining, and
I've never done the whitewater rafting there. It looks a lot of fun.
It was fun.
My dad used to do it when I was a kid, and they had someone who would record it. And I used to watch the video just as like a movie, because it was just so neat to me to see them doing everything. And I've always wanted to do it and just haven't. So I need to go. I still have time this summer. I can go to Whitewater Center and I can go try the whitewater rafting there.
I think to the heart of your question also, though, is like, what do we do on our free time? We take the kids to soccer, and like we take them to dance, and it's they have so many different activities that we like shuffle them around to. So,
and like our pool has been we're
That's
part
true.
of we have a pool membership, and all of their friends,
They're
now that they're
neighbors.
getting older, like
Everyone goes to the pool.
it's all about the friends.
Yep.
Like, who's going to be there? Like, they don't like playing with each other. They would rather play with their friends.
Really?
So it's just like our neighborhood. We had a little neighborhood gathering where the parents just drink and the kids just run around and play. So like our life is a little bit less about leaving your house other than the extracurriculars, and more about, I don't know, the social aspect of surviving.
I will say I appreciate the way you guys talk about what you do with your kids. My wife is that way. We don't have kids yet, but she's like, when we have kids, I don't want to be one of those people who stops doing the fun things. She's like, we can take them with us to do things.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to that either. And your kids are at breweries. And I sometimes, when we're at a brewery and I see kids, there's always a moment where I'm like, that's cool. Like, you're still hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
They get to be out doing whatever. And I don't know if you guys, Monday nights, I mean, not far from here at all.
Right.
They have the outside area.
Yes.
And I love seeing kids like
The
him.
mountain.
Yes.
They spend the whole time running up and down that mountain, rolling down it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool that they are creating environments where it's not just for the younger kid moving here straight out of college, but also for families that have been here for some years, so they can continue to enjoy the business, but also let the kids come and run around and have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've always felt like, let's just bring them with us to whatever the thing we want to do is. We still usually have to leave early enough that they get home for bedtime. But
still have a schedule.
We were with them shutting down
Oh my
High Wire
gosh.
next door one night.
We went to the Knights game. That's another thing we like to do, like hockey nights, like the sports.
Yeah.
And the game was like a 7:30 game or something, so it got out at like 10:30, and we did the light rail. So we didn't get off the light rail till maybe 11, but we had parked in this lot, and we were with some friends, and we're like, kind of want to get a beer. And so we sat on the patio with the kids until midnight.
And they shut down High Wire.
Yeah.
Good for them.
I don't know if we're allowed to do that. I don't know.
Well, now I don't think you are. I think they say kids have to leave by like 9 or
They
10.
fixed that probably.
Because, they probably were like, what parent's going to do that? It was us.
But that's the rare thing. Usually they're at home in bed by
He's like,
8,
this is
9
not a normal. Our
o'clock.
children are not shutting down the bar.
But you can still go out and do fun things with
Yeah.
your kids, and they're here now. Like, just drag them along; they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They're adaptable.
Yeah.
That's what my wife says. You do not have to insulate them from life. Like, let them just continue to be a part of what you've already established. So you talked about sports. Are you taking them to some tech games this season?
I like to try and go once a year. We got friends who are Clemson fans. That should be an awesome
we have
game
so
this
many Clemson
year.
fans.
So
we will be at that game.
we're talking about going up there.
I want to go to a JMU tech game whenever that happens.
I don't think we have a contract for that for a long
Not
time.
this year. I don't know.
There
We'll
was
plan
one in
sometime.
2025, but Tech postponed it because we're just too good.
That's not why. I don't
No,
know.
yeah.
We're supposed to be good this year. I don't know. I don't really follow off season, but
No,
it looks
this
like we're
year,
good.
I am cautiously optimistic
Yeah.
that I told someone the other day, my hope is that Tech is here in Bank of America for ACC Championship. Whether we win or not, to be determined. But our roster returned, I think, 90% of its starters, which is more than any other school in the country. A lot of guys transferred back to Virginia Tech from other big schools. Our quarterback is only getting better. So I'm trying to temper my expectations, but I haven't been this excited for Tech football.
I always talk to her dad about it because he follows it, and he's a Tech fan, not a JNU fan. And
Smart man.
Yeah, and he's excited.
We're going to be at
usually
3
right on.
games. The
Nice.
first game of Tech football season is truly one of my favorite because we're not good, we're not bad, and everyone is just happy to see Tech football again.
Yeah.
So the energy of the day, walking around the lots and tailgating, everyone is just so happy to be there. So that's probably one of my favorite. And then homecoming depends on if we're winning games or not. But it's still, homecoming is less about the game for me and more about seeing all the people who come back. And then Clemson, though, this year is going to be, that'll be electric.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So hopefully we'll see you at a game.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So what is a place that you guys like to do when you're not taking your kids with you? What do you guys like to do for the two of you?
We don't do enough like date nights, but when we do, we go out to dinner. We find a
usually
nice
do dinner.
restaurant and do.
What are some of your
that.
spots?
We kind of explore around. I think our recent one was Flower Shop,
Yeah.
and we love Stagioni.
So good. I've been, I think, for my birthday the last 2 years. They have, do you get dessert there?
Sometimes I'm too full to have dessert.
I'm
Which
not
I
into
love
sweets,
dessert,
but
but
she loves-
I am too, but their dessert, it's like a stuffed donut with a glaze on top.
Wow.
That feels like a pillow. And I've had it each year, and I was worried. I'm like, maybe the first year I overhyped it. So going back this year, I was like, maybe it won't be as good.
Yeah.
No, it was still just as good. And I'm like, this is truly incredible. So next time you're there, take some food home and then have the dessert.
Yeah, there's always so many new restaurants that sound amazing that we rarely go to the same place twice because it's like we want to try what people are talking about. So we don't really have that place other than, a regular quick pickup dinners kind of stuff. But we've been to...
for a minute there, we had a monthly girls' night, and we would pick
I
a
don't get
new
invited to
restaurant
that.
every time.
You don't get invited?
No, to the
Yeah.
restaurant.
Oh, man.
But then we got into pickleball, and so we ended up doing pickleball instead of our dinners. So now we are out of the loop on what's new. But
Okay, so tell me more about this pickleball. Is this a family thing? Is it the two of you?
I'm trying to get more and more people into it. So it just started as one of our friends played tennis, and we were like, what should we do for her birthday? The kids were all in school.
Yeah.
We're like, let's go try out Rally, the new pickleball spot. So we reserved a court, and we had so much fun. We're all in varying levels. We're all learning the game. We actually, I think it took us 3 or 4 games before we actually learned the real rules of the game. But we just, I don't know, I think you feel good, we're exercising, but then we're also having fun because it's got a coffee shop in it. So we go in.
Which one?
Well, it's
Raleigh.
their own. It's
Raleigh.
Raleigh's own coffee
Oh yeah.
shop.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Ben.
we'll get there at like 9:30, have a coffee, talk for an hour, catch up on our mom lives, and then we'll play pickleball for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then sometimes we've hung around and had lunch afterwards because they have the restaurant.
Wow.
And then we did do one night because they have cocktails too. So we did go one night and do a cocktail thing.
I've been once, but it wasn't even to play pickleball. It was because Stephen A came. So when they launched the ESPN betting app, he went to college in North Carolina. So they sent him to like launch it. So I had finished reading his book some months before. So I'm like, hey, we're not going to play pickleball. They had it there if you wanted to. But I just went and Stephen A came through and they had like free food and like drinks for like a little bit there. So I've not yet been to play. I also have somewhat of a hot take when it comes to pickleball. I do not like pickleball.
Yeah, I mean,
to me, it is, and it's the pettiest reasons I don't like it. I don't like the rules. Like, I can only score when it's my serve, and that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, if I score on you, it should count, but I gotta wait till it comes back around to my team's side.
Well, it's like offense and defense. It's true with baseball too, right? You can only score when you've got the bat.
You know, that is a great analogy. I did not think about it that way.
I think volleyball has that rule too, right?
No, volleyball you can score whenever.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah. But no, the baseball one, that's a good analogy.
It's offense and defense and
But yeah, we make that statement a lot. We're like, oh man, we had a really good play and we didn't even make a point off of it.
See, isn't that demoralizing a little bit? Like, it doesn't do anything for you.
Well, it's defense. It's like you've stopped them from scoring. It's just as important.
Yeah, that's true. Another big reason is because the only time I play pickleball is when I'm with my family. And my dad and mom play regularly. Okay. And my dad hasn't been able to beat me in any sports in a decade at least. So when I go home and it's the fact that this man can beat me also just makes me hate the game more because it's frustrating. Yes, Dad, when you watch this, talking to you, it's just so frustrating. But he practices, he plays with his friends. My mom's like, yeah, your dad was out there playing with the college kids today and they were hyping him up. So he just wanted to keep going. And you're playing all the time. I only play once a year with you. So I'm not getting any better. So it just makes me not want to play.
My dad's always played tennis, and he's started transition to pickleball. I think it's just easier than tennis, which is like a great game by itself. And it's like pickleball for me is halfway between tennis and ping pong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's easier than tennis, but it still gets your like heart pumping and gets you moving around. And then like ping pong doesn't have that same appeal. So I think it's a trendy thing right now. I don't know that it's going to last.
I don't know. Paddle is the in-between from pickleball to full-on squash, and that's going to be in the next Olympics. I think pickleball will be there, not the LA one, but I wouldn't be surprised if pickleball's in the...
It's going to the Olympics?
No, 2032, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
They're bringing back cricket. That's a pretty big game.
And flag football.
Oh, yeah?
They're bringing flag football to the LA games, and I think that's going to be very, very interesting. I'm learning a lot recently because it's been in the tabloids that there's a whole flag football league. There's already a United States flag football team. So there's a little rift right now between the NFL players and the flag players because everyone's saying the NFL players are going to go play and the flag players are like, you don't know our game. You don't know our rules. So
they said that about XFL somewhat too. I mean, NFL is going to stay at the top. They're not going to.
So we'll see what happens. Again, you guys have been here quite a while. What is one of your favorite things about the city of Charlotte? And that can be from parents, from business owners, or just people who live here. What is one of your favorite things about the city?
So when we first moved here, and I think it's still true, we always said Charlotte is like a big city, but it has a small town feel to it. It has gotten a little bit bigger from when we first moved here, obviously. But we were talking to some family over a wedding recently, and they just moved from Colorado to Delaware. And she was just saying she's a new mom, and she's like, I haven't been able to meet a lot of friends. And I just find that like anywhere I go, like the park, you know, I'm at my friend groups doing kid activities. People are just there's high energy, like people are very friendly. They love like having conversations, meeting new friends. So I just feel like Charlotte, like it's a very young, there's a lot of people that are here who aren't from here.
Right, most of us.
So we're all just trying to figure out, you know, what do we want to do with our lives and what are our passions. And so I just feel like there's a lot of energy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's got everything you want from like all the sports that we've talked about. It's halfway between the mountains and the beach, so you can go either on like a day trip pretty much.
Absolutely.
Like one of our neighbors, he travels a lot, and he was talking to someone. They're like, "Hey, sell me on Charlotte. Why should I go there?" And he's like, "You know what? It's an amazing place to live, but we don't have that one big thing that's like, go here for this reason." I think that's what you've kind of been exploring on your podcast thing. And like, as I've thought about that, is like, what is the, like, we never want to leave. Like, we love it here. Like, the restaurants are amazing. People always say like, it's like, oh, go to Austin. They've got such good food. It's like we go there and it's like, our food's really good here.
Yeah, it's
right?
not.
I'm not that impressed by other places.
Yeah, it's not like it's much better anywhere else. I think other cities just have staples. So pizza, or you got to go for a barbecue. I just don't think we have a staple, but I think our food is very good.
We went to New Mexico for a wedding, and like green chilies and red chilies, like that's all of New Mexico's thing. It's like, I had no idea. That's not like green chilies. Okay. And they're on everything,
Like,
and they're delicious.
I had a green chili pasta dish, and it was so good. It was like, think about like Alfredo, like
with
pasta
green chilies.
with green chilies in it. It was so good.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And they had a green chili pizza.
But that's like so many places have their own kind of staple. You know, even our pizza is the Virginia slice. It's not even North Carolina and Charlotte. I think the one thing that Charlotte has that is like, it's probably not going to keep it forever, but I think I saw that of all the large cities, like 1 million plus, we have the smallest population density. So what that means is like, we've got neighborhoods and it's spread out so much, and it makes it so it's really big, but that means we have all these little neighborhoods. Like I said, like I lived in Noda, and like it's like my favorite part of the city, and it's so cool to go downtown area. I've lived in Uptown. Now we're in South Park, and like we've been able to experience all these different ways of living in all these different neighborhoods. They all have their own little cool restaurants and everything else that you can do. So I think it's like a lot of, you know, you can get out of life whatever you want.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think Charlotte has something to offer for anybody. And if you find it, if you want halfway suburban life, you can be in South Parkish area. If you want full, you can go to Ballantyne or Huntersville. Yeah. If you want to be where all the action is, you can be right where all the action is. That's something that I think we love, that as we think of our future, it's like we just have to pick what neighborhood we want to go to for our future. It's not like we have to leave the city or anything, which I think is awesome. Now we're going to talk about pizza. Yeah. The pizza that is as big as your head. How did you guys get into the pizza business?
So Brian's brother is the one who, and his friend from college, are the ones who started the first location in Blacksburg, Virginia. And it was just kind of like a random conversation we had with his brother one time, because we lived in Noda. There was a ton of bars, like I said, art galleries, like there was people everywhere all the time. And we have Boudreaux's and Cabo Fish Taco in
also Blacksburg,
which is also in Blacksburg.
But there was like nothing late night, like there was no late night food. So I just kind of was like, hey, he was expanding very quickly, and he said, if you want a good spot, like we think this neighborhood is a good spot.
And this was before kids, so we were still going out. So it was all selfishly. I was like, I want to eat Benny's pizza at late night or any time.
And so I just kind of brought it up as a conversation, and he's like, why don't you guys do it? Like he was expanding quickly. He had a lot of his time taken up with like the Virginia locations, and he's like, I can't manage something from like a whole other state away.
Right.
So I think it was kind of more of like an idea he popped out, and we kind of talked about it. And I had always an entrepreneurial spirit, and
you've got a business degree from JMU.
And so we kind of talked about it, and we, like I said, we had been saving for a house, and we just kind of were like, we think this would do so well, let's just do it. And so we kind of
so I had the condo, but the down payment that we were living in, that we were like saving up for a house. As we like start to think about starting a family or whatever, it's like, let's do that, open up the restaurant instead.
Which I think is really cool, that you can have that flexibility in your young life to say, hey, let's do this wild thing that we'll enjoy and that could be great for us later. because the kids and the life afterwards will come at some point, and then you get to do that for 18 plus years. But you guys getting to start that, I think, is really, really cool. What was some of those early years like?
I think, a couple weeks, maybe month or two after we decided to open it.
No, 1 month after we decided to open, I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, oh, okay. So I just remember, the first, Nora was 2 weeks old.
Yep.
2 weeks old when we decided, or when we actually opened. We had planned to open a few months earlier, but it was just delay after delay after delay. So I remember wearing her and learning how to work the ovens for the first time, on me, which was probably not very safe, but
in like a baby yarn, whatever thing.
Yeah, but
that
it was
so cool.
And then I just remember we had high chairs, right? I remember putting her in a high chair and bringing her a bunch of toys while I would help make pizza in the back, and it was just kind of a weird dynamic. Like when he was, he worked a full-time job, 8 to 5. So he, during the day, I had her. So I would come in and, sit her in a chair and, or just leave her in her car seat and, help out where I could. We had hired a manager. So he was covering the majority of the training and the hiring and all of that, which was, crucial. And he came from another Benny's location. So he honestly really was training me on the ins and outs of how to make good pizza, and we kind of balanced off of each other on the manager side of things in terms of because I'm the more organized type A person. So I brought a lot of those skills, but I don't know. We just kind of figured things out and learned with everybody else.
So we were getting ready to open. I had put down a layer of sealant on the floor, some really harsh smelling chemical 2 weeks before we opened. And I come home smelling of the stuff. I sit next to her and her water breaks. I think that her body's there's poison. I need to get this baby out of me. So we had the baby, and then I got a little bit of paternity leave, not as much as they do nowadays. But that helped as we were ramping up.
Yeah,
and so I could go in and help get things started.
That's nuts. She opened a pizza
spending time
restaurant
with my
with
baby,
a 2-week-old baby.
Yeah.
Would you change anything about it?
Oh, no. I mean, it's been great. I've learned a lot of things.
Yeah.
I've gotten to do things that if I had been sticking with what I was doing, I probably would not have experienced it. It can be hard and stressful at times, but it's also given me the flexibility to be more involved in their schools.
Yeah.
So I volunteer with Girl Scouts. I volunteer in their school. And so I just have more control and flexibility over certain things. And there's times that I don't. I get those 3 and 4 a.m. phone calls of, whatever happens late night.
Yeah.
But
Someone's locked in the bathroom, or
locked in the bathroom?
Oh yeah, we've had all kinds of stuff.
We got stories.
Oh man, any good ones that you can share?
We could share them. I mean, what comes to mind? I don't know. I remember that we've seen we've got cameras, right? So we've seen fights break out, and you could watch the fight over and over again. And it's crazy.
I mean, like I said, the one person, the locking themselves in the bathroom thing happens a lot. People fall asleep going to the bathroom, or they get sick and
they probably
sleep on
drank
the
too
floor.
much.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But we had one time where the fire department had to literally bust open one of our bathroom doors to get someone out.
And then,
But I mean, there's all.
And then we got to replace the bathroom door, and it's
things you don't plan for starting a pizza business is replacing door because firefighters.
But we've had people break in and rob us before.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's always something. And then there's no money in the register. They come in, they steal the register, they have to crack it open, and the register costs more than the $100 they just got out of it.
The register's thousands of dollars. So we actually we don't keep money in a register.
You probably see it right back here.
There.
The register.
We're not
Look,
stupid.
There's no money.
But we started doing that because we're see, here's our drawer. There's no money in it.
Smart. What is it? Defense, what is it called? Deterrence. So that way they don't take it away from you.
They look at it and see nothing.
So can you give me a little more of the history of Benny's as a whole? I know you said your brother and his friend started it. So I know the 2 locations in at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And then I've actually been to the location there's one in Fredericksburg area.
That's their busiest one.
Really?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Fredericksburg is their busiest. To go into the history first, my brother opened in 2011. He had a degree in interior design, so he's always been into the space and making it look cool and friendly and comfortable. And then when the recession hit, he ended up getting his MBA in New York. And this business concept was his like final project.
Oh, wow.
So he had written it all out, and he was talking to a friend at a wedding about it. His friend was an accountant, Zach, the other partner, and he's like, well, let's do it. Like, I'm interested in going in on something. He was an accountant. I think he wanted something a little more fun than just looking at numbers and whatever else. So
he still does our accounting.
He still does our accounting.
So he can totally escape.
But it's more fun. It's pizza accounting. It's a little different.
So then they opened up in 2011 in Blacksburg. They had a plan to quickly expand. So they went to Roanoke and Radford, went to Harrisonburg and Charlottesville. So quickly expanding. And then they started talking to us about Charlotte. They started talking about their other friend, Adam.
He owns all the Charleston locations.
In the Charleston. He's got 3 or 4
So they went
now.
to camp together growing up. So they're all like friends or family.
Yeah. My cousin opened one up in Pennsylvania.
What was your reaction like to your brother when he says, hey, I'm going to open a pizza restaurant?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, this is not out of character.
Really?
And I've also never seen him fail at anything, really.
He's one of those people who's just annoyingly good at everything that he ever tries.
Yeah.
So...
he'd been talking about it for years, actually. So when we were students at Virginia Tech, we lived together, and he's like, we were from New Jersey originally, so it's like, we know what good pizza is. He's like, why don't they have this here? People talk about the water. They just don't have people that do it.
Right.
So he's like, why don't they have this? This would kill it in Blacksburg, where everyone's going out every night, these college towns. So that was his focus, was college towns in Virginia where they don't really have good pizza. And that's where he started things.
I mean, if you ever get a chance to go back to Blacksburg, if you do not leave the bars before 1 o'clock, you're going to be standing in that Benny's line till 2:30 or 3 o'clock. That line gets so long. And my friends, when we go back now, we'll go back for homecoming. They're like, hey, we want to go to Benny's. I'm like, if we're going to Benny's, we need to be leaving whatever bar by 12. Yeah. Because I refuse to stand in that line all night. I was like, we got to be there by 12, be one of the early people. Because if you get there at 1:30.
That line can be fun, though, sometimes. Everybody's...
Oh, it's nuts.
It's nuts. It's like a party by itself. You just don't... It's like the bar. You just don't have a drink.
Yeah, and sometimes by the end of the night, I don't need the extra. I've been around, especially you tailgating, if it's on a game day. You've been doing this all day. I don't need the extra. Let me just get my pizza and go to sleep.
Well, now you can get it in the stadium. But there's probably a line there, too.
Yes, yeah. But yes, so going to Chapel Hill, I was out with some friends, our first weekend or two, and they're like, oh my God, what is this place, Benny's? And I said, let me tell you about Benny's. They're like, why do you know about it? I said, first 2 locations in Blacksburg, Virginia. Yep. So I was like, that is and it was cool for us when we got here that I saw the first one in Noda. I think we were going to Heiss. And I'm like, this has got to be the same Benny's. Yeah. And then this one opened, and I was like, it feels like home, and it reminds me of being back in Blacksburg. We had some friends come a couple, maybe a month or two ago, did a night out, and then we all walked here. And it was just cool that most of us met at Tech, and the fact that we're all sharing a Benny's Pizza in Charlotte it was a lot of fun.
And they all have different last names so that they can try and be local to the place. We're local owners, right? But Marzano's was the original, Benny Ferrovia's, Benny Pennello's, they have different last names to try and give it the feel of the neighborhood instead of some bigger corporate thing. Because while it is becoming a big chain as my brother continues to expand, the local people are here and
every single Benny's you go into has totally different vibe. Mm-hmm. Different decor, different
music.
Yeah. It really that is the focus, is how can we make this local? Even the desserts sometimes are different. They have their own little bakery nearby or an ice cream shop. He tries to pull a little bit of that
the community
into
and the other businesses.
We try to have the local beers.
Yeah.
Which is easy in Charlotte.
Do you guys think that you would ever open another location in Charlotte?
We've got 2 now. I don't plan on leaving my full-time job.
Yeah, right? that's the challenge. That's he loves his job. So I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
My kids are still young, so it's hard to imagine, like, it takes a lot. Like, everyone you open adds that much more work to your plate.
Right.
Also, just the economy is so unpredictable, and even Charlotte's very trendy in different areas. So, like, what might be thriving business one year might tank the next year, depending on where you are and what else opens up around you. So I don't know.
There's risk.
I didn't think I'd open a second one, but here we are. So
so how did the South End one come to be?
Well, I think it was more that Charlotte, because it is such a growing city, they get the most interest from investors to build more here. And they're trying to honor us and say, you were the first
Chris
one.
And Zach.
You know, they know that opening up a second location or a third location by other owners, like, it's risky because, you know, you're hoping they're doing the right thing.
Right.
But also it can compete business-wise. So it was more so of a, like, I don't know.
Chris and Zach wanted to open another location in Charlotte because Noda was doing so well. It's such a big city. They're like, there's a ton more opportunity here.
For sure.
And people were coming to them interested. So they kind of came to us and be like, hey, you guys got to do this, right? Like,
and if you don't, we have to give it to someone else.
I don't know that they quite said it that way, but it was like, you guys do it. They gave us every opportunity to say yes by just like putting in the money to build it out because there's so much trust in Kristen and her organizational skills and our other employees to be able to make it successful. That they're like, you go ahead and run it. We'll do what it takes to open it. And
it's just I care a lot about work-life balance because
Thank you.
Have the kids.
I don't like, you know, I'm not here to like, I don't know, like live this really work-focused life. I do care about spending time with my family. And so when you open a business, it's open every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
It's open till 3 a.m., 2 a.m. on the weekends. So it does, you know, those things pop up all the time. We could have a manager walk out tomorrow and suddenly we're scrambling. So it's just, I am not a risk taker, shockingly, despite the fact that we own a business. That's why he still has his full-time job. And so,
which is also good balance.
You know,
yeah. Where she's more risk averse, but has the riskier job. I am more likely to take a risk, but have the more secure job.
And
so
it works as a whole.
Yeah. So, you know, every restaurant you open is a more risk, you know, because then whatever money you're making from one could be going into helping operate losses from another one. So personally, I loved the pizza. You know, we cared about the brand. We loved the food. We wanted to bring it to Charlotte. I don't know. We'll see.
And our managers are awesome. Like, they take care of things. She wants work-life balance. She's still working constantly, right? Yeah. Like, I get home from work and like, you know, that's when she's like, all right, I've been taking care of the kids. Let me do some work stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, we're like, you know.
It's teamwork.
It's teamwork.
That's what's
going to. Teamwork.
Yeah, another fun story for this location. One of my wife's younger sisters had her turn 21, and she was like, it was over the summer. She was like, I want to come celebrate with you guys. So we went out and took her around, and then she also went to Virginia Tech, and then in true Blacksburg form, brought her here for a slice of pizza. Yeah. And I was like, I feel like this is perfect. Like, you don't get to go out on Blacksburg for your first time being 21. Said, well, we can still end the night with Benny's Pizza. Yeah. And so she loved it.
You get a free slice on your 21st birthday here.
We did not know that. I didn't even know that was it. Is that a thing in Blacksburg?
Yeah. Every Benny's, you get a free slice on your 21st birthday.
Okay, can I make a request? And I don't know if you guys can control this, but how about for your 30th birthday too? Because, you know, I'm here now way after 21. So how about the 30th birthday? Like, you know, the big ones, like the 50th birthday, come in for a free slice. You don't have to tell me.
We can run it up the chain. But no, I mean, I don't work in the store often, but I did recently. And like, there's so many people coming in, and it's like, we had several birthdays, and like, I'm so tempted. I was like, oh, we should give him a free. It's like, no, I don't know where the line is.
Yeah.
I'm not the business person. I let her figure out the decisions.
You do that, then you're walking home, and she's like, hey, heard you're giving away pizza.
1 out of every 350 people get a free pizza, pretty much.
One thing I do want to shout you guys out for and just say thank you. So you actually were at Tech when the shooting happened in 2007. And since then, Virginia Tech has done a really good job of trying to honor that day and those people's lives. And this is that kind of event in Tech history. And we had a 3.2 I guess it's a 5K that gets run in Blacksburg every year. Well, when we first moved here to COVID, was COVID, so it was May.
Sure.
So it was April of 21 was the first April 16th.
Yep.
And I'd always gone back. So I was always there as a student. And then up until that point, I would always go back. But COVID, they didn't do anything. So I just texted some friends and said, hey, who wants to, I'll find a route on Google Maps and we can walk 3.2. I'll put on maroon and orange. And I think we had like 20 people that showed up. And it was cool. And some people, we walked past, can't remember where it was. It might have been Sycamore. And I'm assuming she was a Hokie because she just yells at us, let's go. And we all turned and yelled Hokies back. And so it was really cool. And then the next year, I'm like, this would be a great thing for the Charlotte Hokies to be able to do. Yeah. Which is when I called you and said, hey, can we do this with you guys? And so I appreciate you guys letting us park here and come grab pizza here. And for us, people really do enjoy when it's their first time. They're like, oh, this is so neat that we get to end with a slice of Benny's pizza and it feels like home. And we're all doing Virginia Tech things together. So I appreciate you guys for always supporting us. And we plan to keep coming back as long as you have us.
Yeah, absolutely. We always love to support Virginia Tech stuff because that's where, Benny started. We did a golf tournament for years where they were like raising money for scholarships or whatever. And we would
for North Carolina residents. Yeah.
So we would donate pizzas there. It was always a fun thing for me because I would like take the day off work and go sit on the golf course and help.
Well, and they had Beamer there because Beamer's daughter lives here.
Oh.
So he would come up and he does the golf tournament. He's done it most years, I think. I don't know if he was there this last year.
Okay.
So we've gotten to meet him a couple times, which is cool.
In the spirit of also being like local to Charlotte, we also look for things to do around this area. So like we helped out with the booty run. Right?
Oh, 24 Hours of Booty. We partnered with them this year.
What was that?
It's like a cancer fundraiser.
Okay.
And so they bike for 24 hours. I think they try to do as many miles or laps as they can to raise money. And so they do a midnight pizza party. And so that was a challenge because we had to...
We didn't donate all those, we should say.
We didn't donate all of them, no, because they fed, I think... 1,200 people? I don't know. We did 88 pizzas, which is the most we've ever done for anything. So we had to source them from both locations because they eat them all at the same time. And so we closed both stores for a little bit.
Which stinks for our other customers who want a pizza.
I worked for the Lupus Foundation before doing this and always have had like a fundraising philanthropic. So I always try to like keep an eye out for those.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Opportunities. So
part of the Oot Prosm spirit, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That I may serve. Right. So you're talking about pizza and your brothers, you guys being from New Jersey, right?
Yeah, originally.
What is the secret sauce of Benny's Pizza? Why do people love it so much?
I mean, all the dough's made fresh. All the ingredients are like sauce is made here. Everything is fresh. So I don't know. Like we said, my brother, he's just good at everything. We got lucky on the recipe. I don't know how he figured it out. The year up to opening the restaurant or the couple months, whatever it was, he'd order pizza every place he went. And
literally, he would eat pizza multiple times a day.
It's like, is that parsley in the sauce? Like he's like trying to figure out, like just tasting it, figuring out what he likes, what he doesn't like. He'd go to his favorite pizza places and see what like ingredients, what flour they were using, that kind of thing.
So he was scouting out all the competition.
So, and then he's just good at things, and he stumbled on, the right recipe that works. People talk about the water. He's always said like there's so much flavor in the cheese, so much flavor in the sauce that Charlotte has some pretty bleachy water, right? You taste the bleach when you drink it. But I don't think that, it doesn't come through in the pizza, so I don't think that really causes the problems. I don't know.
You mentioned the sauce. I hear more about the crust, particularly because it's not chewy. It's got this like crisp to it, and then the cheese because it's like it's not just mozzarella. It's a 5 cheese blend. So there's other sharper.
So that's the secret sauce, the 5 cheese blend.
That's part of it.
Okay.
So they used to hand blend the cheese, with our dough maker.
Yeah.
They used to manually put on the cheese attachment and grate it manually, which we go through. I mean, one box is 30 pounds of cheese. We go through 20-something boxes of cheese on a weekend, just a weekend. So I can't imagine, we would never stop.
You said one box is 30 pounds and you go through 20 of them in a weekend?
Yes.
For one store.
for just one store. So,
Whoa.
So I'm sitting here going, I mean, to grate all that cheese, like
Somebody was getting real buff.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like it would be.
I mean, they
so
already
much.
are just stretching the dough. Those things are massive. Like,
Yeah, I've seen them doing that. I'm like, I know
Yeah.
that's some work.
Yeah.
So whoa, 20 boxes of 30 pounds.
Yeah. 600 pounds.
That is so much cheese, and that's just the cheese. That's not any other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because I think each pizza has like just about 2 pounds of cheese on it, maybe a little less.
And the idea for it being as big as it is, so like they could have easily done the pizza and just made it regular sized pizza. Where did the idea of the giant slice come from?
So, I mean, again, they have that in New York. So coming from New Jersey, we're familiar with it. They do
so it's just not a thing in the South.
They do similar things in DC. Yeah, it's still not that common up there, but like there's enough places that do it that people come here that are from New York and they recognize it. They're familiar.
I did not realize that.
It's still not super common. But so it was just my brother's idea. His mindset was like, we want to get people food as fast as possible. So if you order a whole pie, then that takes time to cook. Ours are cooked 90% of the way, and then we heat them up the rest of the way, so we can get them out there, in a minute or whatever.
Yeah.
A couple minutes. So just being able to do it really fast, the big slice helps with that, and then also it cuts costs down because of just the size and the proportions that you're doing it in.
Yeah, if you normally eat 2 slices of pizza, all you need here at Benny's is 1, if that.
Yeah, I mean, 1 slice is the same as a 10-inch pie.
Yeah, like those little personal 10-inch pizzas, that's the same amount of ingredients
if you
as
do
the
really?
slice.
Yeah. You do pi r squared and do the whole.
Actually, there's a little chart behind you that even
you probably
kind of
can't see it in
shows.
the camera.
Oh, wow.
So that's like 4 pizzas of another, like just like your standard 14-inch, like makes up.
Yeah.
You guys have figured this all out.
Yeah, and then
So what is one of your favorite parts of being business owners, being in the pizza business? Like what are some of those things where you're like, this is why I wake up and do this every day?
I wish, like, when I do come in, which isn't often, it's so much fun. Like, if someone's looking at this for their career, like, it's so much fun to like, be in here and be part of the community and like know people. So like when we talk to our employees, like that's one of the things they love about it is just like having their regulars, getting to like talk to people. And pizza is just a fun thing.
Yeah,
right?
everybody loves pizza.
Everyone loves pizza. So there's always so much excitement. Like I've said, I have my own job, but people come up and they're like, "Oh yeah, you own the pizza place," and it's like, "Well, it's really her doing stuff."
Yeah.
Right? Like I can't answer all your questions. But it's just pizza's so much fun. People get excited about it. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to eat pizza.
Yeah, I think the size in particular makes this more fun than like the average pizza place. But I'll remember like going into their school.
You're probably a hero at school.
Well, I always try to do like the fun like career days, and we do pizza parties. That's like a big incentive for elementary school. So, but I remember walking through the cafeteria just to go to a classroom, not to go to the cafeteria. And all of a sudden, like the whole cafeteria went silent, and all the kids are looking over, and the reaction of just like the size of the pizza box.
I mean, we'll get some pictures and include them for people to see, but the box, like the pizza slice is big. But I think the crazy part is when you get a whole thing and the box of it, it's massive. My mom ordered one. We went up for the UVA game my freshman year, me, my whole family, and then 2 of my buddies. And we're like, oh, we'll just I told him, like, let's go to Benny's and get some pizza. My mom was like, we have to eat this now. We were going to like get it and then start driving home. She's like, we can't drive in the car with this box. It's massive. So I was like, yeah, we need some plates. But I mean, the box is
That's a
huge.
scenario where you get slices, right? I don't know.
I mean, it was 8 of us. So we all needed, a pie was perfect. Yeah. But us having it in the car was it's like, yeah, Mom,
the box doesn't fit through a standard doorway.
Really? So, because, it's a sideways.
You have to tilt it to the side. Because most doors are, I think, 30 inches, and the box is 32
And you would only know this because your pizzas are so big.
Yeah. Well, and I know because I'm always trying to help people get into their car and, like, hold the door for them, and they're like, if you have your arms on the outside, you can't go through because your arms block the door. So it's
things you would only know if you sold large pizza.
Yeah.
So for you, you've done a lot of this work here. what is something that you have learned about yourself going through this process, opening not just one, but a second one? What is something that you have learned for yourself that kind of keeps you going?
I think what I've really learned is I'm the type of person that likes change, if that makes sense. Like, I don't like to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. I like in this role, like, I can make it whatever I want. Like, I can, come in and work if I want. I can, do marketing, which is what my major was. I can kind of focus on that. I can, do organization things that I like to do. Like, I can kind of just make it what I want. I can be as involved or not as involved as I want also.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of like like I said, the flexibility that I have of my time and where I put my time. And I just like doing the community stuff as well. So I don't know.
I would think, like, we're doing a podcast now. We never thought we were doing this. This is probably a terrible fear of yours to be in front of people. So I would expect you probably have learned, like, you're good at this kind of stuff and your leadership skills that you maybe didn't know you had before.
Oh.
Right? So
I was going to ask him that question, then he went right into it. Because, like, my wife is getting to experience this now, but, like, supporting the person who's, like, doing the thing, and, like, she helps. Like, she will do production and take pictures and stuff. So, like, I got a lot of love for the people who support, but I'm also curious, like, how do they see the other side of, like, what we're doing? Like, sometimes I'll just start rambling. We're middle of a car ride. We're not talking about anything. And I just start, hey, I have to do this and then this and then this. And then what do you think? And she just goes, wait, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
He does that. This happens all the time.
But it's like our brains are just, we're thinking about what we need to be doing. And so I'm curious how it's viewed and, like, what you learned from watching the other person grind at something that they're so passionate about.
I mean,
it is hard, like I said, my days look different every single day from week to week. Like, it just depends on what's happening, right? Like, the heist had a fire a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was a whole week of, like, I had a lower key week. My kids didn't have camp that week. And it was like, okay, we've got to figure this out. So there's, like, things that happen all the time, but I think I have a hard time turning my brain off, like, because I'm always thinking about something. Which, I mean, you can have any job and do that. So, but yeah, I think it also brings out, like, what I could work on
Absolutely.
as well.
That's I'm learning a lot about myself during this process, because there's so many details that I'm doing it all of, got to reach out to someone, got to make sure you follow up, scheduling and all these things. And it is a lot to think about. But I'm realizing it's also making me a little better at my actual job too, because now I'm thinking of, how am I organizing things? How am I communicating? It's like, oh, I did this for this. I can translate this over to work, which has also been a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying the grind. I wouldn't say I'm quite an entrepreneur yet. We're not selling anything. We're just like we're just having cool conversations with people.
That's something I talk to people about in, like, my job of, like, take on these, like, extra stretch assignment things that push yourself out of your comfort zone, because you will learn from it. You'll take up some skill. Yeah. And you can take the things that, you do outside of work and, translate that into your work of, like, hey, what do you like to do? And just makes you better at these skills.
For sure. Do you guys still get to make pizzas?
I do on occasion, just to make it, easier in the morning sometimes.
Okay.
Last time I did, I was embarrassed by how slow I was. I could still cook them, but I can't stretch the dough.
Do your daughters make pizzas?
No, they can't lift the dough up. They're too.
I mean,
what about the sauce and the cheese and the pepperoni?
They can do that.
Okay.
But no, like, the stretching of the dough, it's just such a big, heavy dough ball that they struggle with that a little bit.
But we've cut them up before and taken them home, and then they've helped
Like, in
out.
COVID, we would bring home the dough because we didn't want to order food from anywhere. It was, like, scary to do that. So I would grab all the ingredients from here, and we would just make them in our home pizza stone.
Oh,
so, like, the little ones, they can stretch and do that all day. But to stretch one of those is difficult.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up here, and then I think we're going to get some footage of actually making pizza.
Yes.
Where can the people find you guys? Talk about your 2 locations and describe them so that way people know where they, and the hours too, because I think the late night part is really important.
Yeah, so we have a South End location that's next to Highwire Brewing, Pins Mechanical. And then we have our other location next to Heist Brewery and Noda. They're both open till midnight during the week, and then 2 a.m. on Thursday, 3 a.m. on Friday and Saturday.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for
welcome.
being on. I really appreciate this. A lot of hokey spirit and Benny's together, which makes me really happy. Thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to bringing you our next episode. Queen City out. Thank you.